Hey, Evan Pantazi here, out for a walk again. I just wanted to let you know that I haven't forgotten about the Bubishi. I'm off into other topics right at the moment in between travels. But I wanted to let you in on an idea and something you should research and get into and try to understand. I've been talking a long time about the keys. Now, the keys are the yin and the yang concepts, the animal concepts, the 6G hands, the rotational torque concepts, and what you apply that to is the Shichen. Now, the Shichen are, some people think, the time periods, and there's time periods linked into the Bubishi and its writings, but the thing is that they're not time periods. Look at the zodiac animal, okay? And you can then see what the implications of said target would be. Now, these are very powerful targets, so once you've got the keys down, you understand the keys, maybe you're applying it in your martial style or a kata or just your thought process. When you start putting all these keys together and then dive into the Shichen, you have the Bubishi, okay? And it's something that a lot of martial arts don't spend time looking at. And they're not pressure points, folks, okay? There's something much more profound than hitting fascial points, okay? And by fascial points, I mean pressure points for acupuncture that are targeting the fascia, the coating around the muscles and in between the muscles. And yes, they do transmit minute neurological messaging. They can constrict and or loosen muscle tissue, but it is not the underlying principle of Kyusho, never was. All right, it's just a modern adaptation. So like I was talking about in the Kyusho hacks, and there's another one coming out, Kyusho hack number 1 is understanding that Kyusho is not pressure points. And we get a lot of slack from trolls on YouTube, to people writing in, to people not believing in Kyusho, and that's because they all believe it's still the pressure points. And let's face it, the pressure point paradigm of Kyusho and martial aspects has been bastardized for 30-40 years. All right, and it's rightfully so. They have their questions. You shouldn't bash it if you haven't tried it, though. You have your questions, but when you're talking about real anatomy, I mean, how do you argue that there's a nerve in your head, okay, that you can strike and it'll cause a neurological shock into your brain? All right, you can't argue that. Okay, if you can, then when you can argue medicine, you can argue science, you can argue anatomy. Okay, so it's a moot point, really. But we're going past these pressure points, and I know I keep harping on it and harping on it, but people, even in my own organization, just can't get it through their heads that it's not pressure points. So it's a mission I'm on to make people understand that Kyusho is anatomical by nature. It works against the physiology of the human anatomy, and it's real. Okay, but again, the Shichen. Now, the Shichen are the targets that the Bubishi really calls out. Okay, there's 36 main points, and within that there are subsets of targets. And by points, I just meant targets on the body. The targets, again, are anatomical in nature. So throw away your pressure point books, throw away your acupuncture theories. That's all bull for the Kyusho martial aspects, and get into an anatomy book or a physiology book, and you'll better understand what the katas are about, what your martial art was originally intended to do. Even if you're in something like Salad, Eskrima, Wing Chun. Now, when you get into these arts and you look back in their history, or you go back to their founders, and you can find ties to real anatomical structures. And I'm going to be honest with you, Bruce Lee in one of his books even had some Kyusho targets. So, you know, people that are just going around willy-nilly and saying that Kyusho is not real, it's made up stuff, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you really haven't done any research, and you're not doing anybody any good to try to talk about them if you haven't done the research. But the Bubishi, okay, that is a time-tested document. Why did so many founders of so many styles adhere to it? Why do the targets of Funakoshi Mabuni, as I've said so many times in the past, why are they all descripted in anatomical location and physiological dysfunction? All right, that's the real Kyusho, and that's what the Bubishi is about. And the Shichin, there's some pretty nasty targets there, and you should really investigate it. But again, they're not going to work for you if you don't have the keys that are outlined in the Bubishi. So dig deep, folks. Okay, it'll make your karate much more intense, much more realistic, rather than just the sport version. And I'm not knocking the sport version. I think it's beautiful. I watch it on YouTube a lot. I watch the pro karate tournament, and it's just watching them do their stuff is just amazing. The way they got their body to react, the precision, the accuracy, the power, the speed, the shifting, all great, but not real karate. So thanks for watching. We'll be back soon.